Another year, another bunch of games that I've been able to play through. Well, I didn't get to play as many games this year, especially with this year having a lot of big misses in the industry. The games I did play were all really great, and that has made ranking this year very difficult. But first, before I get on to the ranking, an honorable mention this year. The main reason I've decided to do an honorable mention this year is because the game's not yet finished, and I think with that, you know what game this is. Hades 2 has been great so far. I've been really loving all the new mechanics, weapons, boons, locations, and all the enemies introduced into the game. I don't want to go into too much more until I get the full review of it later on, once the game's completed. But with that, on to the ranking. Also, be wary of the possibility of any spoilers for any of the games I talk about here. You've been warned. In a year of playing a lot of great games, it feels a bit crazy to have something at the bottom, but something still has to go there, and after a lot of thought, this was it. Dark Souls 2, the, as I've been told, black sheep of the franchise. Well, it definitely has its differences from the first game, health being lowered with every death, the dodge roll having different timing, and so on. I feel this one had a lot more moments where I was very stuck with trying to defeat certain bosses, but also because I was running out of health due to not having enough human effigies. I definitely enjoyed a lot of the bosses in this game, but it is interesting that they reused bosses a bit more, even reusing some bosses from the previous game. With that, it was fun being able to sort of rematch against certain bosses from the first one, like the gargoyles, and being able to defeat them faster than I previously was. It felt like I had been improving my skills a lot in this game from when I first played Dark Souls. Probably my favorite boss fight in the game was either the Looking Glass Knight or Sir Alon. Both of them were very fun battles that had amazing arenas to fight in, and some great music to back them up as well. I was very happy in Alon's case that my friend was able to convince me to go fight him, because I have to be honest, I did not enjoy the second DLC as much as the other two. While I did enjoy the world, I missed the connectivity that the previous Dark Souls game had, where I was regularly finding new ways to previously explored areas, especially good old Firelink Shrine. Although, in comparison with Firelink Shrine, Majula was a great new hub for this game. The atmosphere, the music, anytime I was there, it was just a good moment. Even though the world wasn't as connected as it used to be, the design for everything, as always, was still on point. From all the new areas to all the new enemies that were introduced. While, once again, a lot of the story and greater lore was explained to by my friend, I do think I understood the story in this game a bit more, at least slightly. I do think I got a bit more annoyed with this game, especially with some of the trials that led to different bosses that would need to be run through again after any death, especially the ones that got very annoying, such as the Black Gulch, the Lost Bastille, or the Iron Passage. Thankfully, one thing that was able to help with that was an interesting change in this game, where enemies stopped respawning after killing them a certain amount. I think 10 times? I'm not too certain on that. But it's an interesting change to make it so players can't camp any specific areas, and I wonder if that will be in the future. Well, with this one finished, I'm very excited to start the next game soon. I have heard a lot about this one being considered the best in the series so far, so next year then. So, 3 Mario RPGs coming out in the span of almost a year. 2 remakes and a new one in the series that was thought to have died with its developers shutting down. While I wasn't able to get to Brothership, I did have a great time playing through the other 2 remakes. But which one did I prefer? Super Mario RPG. This game was a lot of fun and thankfully didn't take too long. I really enjoyed finally getting to see why so many people love this classic game. The RPG elements continue to feel great, especially with combat that continues to be fun thanks to the active combat that continues to be featured throughout all the other Mario RPGs. With this new remake, they also include some great super moves that feature some great animated attacks. While great to watch, it is nice that it is able to skip them when players want to speed things up. Although, they do also feel like they mess with the balance of the game some. Some of them are just extremely strong. Thankfully, I never felt underpowered during fights, and never even had to grind for XP throughout the game and cause any long pauses in the story. It was great getting to explore more of the Mushroom Kingdom and see all the fun new characters that were created for this game, especially the iconic party members for this game, Gino and Mallow, who continue to be beloved, though sadly haven't had any other appearances besides this game. The writing in this game is also very memorable, with a lot of fun and memorable moments throughout the game. I knew I was going to enjoy the music with it being done by Yoko Shimomura, and as always, she does a great job. And it's great that when remakes and remasters offer the option to switch between the new soundtrack and the original, which still sounds great to this day. I still need to try out the Super Boss, as well as the newly added rematches against the bosses. Hopefully I'll be able to get to them at some point. While this might be my least favorite of the Mario RPGs I played this year, it was still a wonderful time. Pikmin has been a franchise I've never given a proper try until this year. The only real way I learned about Pikmin before was through Smash Bros., and Olimar was always my least favorite character in that game, and the rest of the representation the franchise had in it did not really interest me enough to try it out. With Pikmin 4 out, and a bunch of my friends recommending it, and saying it was a good place to start off, I decided to use the second voucher I had when I purchased Tears of the Kingdom, and finally try out Pikmin. Why did I never give this franchise a shot before? This game was a delight to play through. Each of the environments are a lot of fun to explore and find all the different treasures and events. It was really fun finding a new cave and seeing what challenges I would be facing in them, especially with which Pikmin would need to be used in it, since that's always changing, or depending on the cave. I also really enjoyed the Dandori battles. These were very fun challenges that really helped learn new strategies to utilize all the Pikmin you have. It was fun finding more onions or Pikmin to improve your capabilities, as well as leveling up Ochi. Speaking of which, Ochi was a very fun addition to this game, and it'll make going back to play the previous games a little bit harder without him around. He does definitely get a bit too strong once you level up certain abilities, like the fact that he's as strong as 100 Pikmin. The new night challenges were an interesting new addition that were a nice change of pace compared to the traditional system for the game. It is also nice when something really goes awful, or I need to try to plan better, that I can rewind a level to try and improve or fix what went wrong previously. I'm very happy that venturing out each day or night thankfully never felt like it was getting too repetitive. There were always new challenges to discover on each expedition. I'm still very interested in trying the other games at some point, as well as Olimar's story, which looks like it's a sort of remake of the first game from what I've heard. But I'm very happy that Pikmin 4 has made me a fan of this delightful series. I still don't like him in Smash Bros. Though. When I first saw Animal Well announced, I was very interested to see how it would be. With it being the first game being published by Donkey's studio, Big Mode, and all the trailers showing off some absolutely stunning pixel art, I was excited. I stayed away from a lot of the game's discussion when it came out, that when I finally started playing through the game, I honestly forgot that it was a Metroidvania. This game immediately starts off on a great note, with its absolutely gorgeous pixel art that the game features, especially in the environments. Sometimes it was just a bunch of fun interacting with the environment, such as bumping into any hanging lanterns and seeing them accurately move. This game excels in being a Metroidvania. As you explore the area, a lot of items that can help you with reaching new areas are found, and Animal Well definitely has some great ones. Each of them are a lot of fun to use and serves great and useful purposes. The Frisbee was a really fun one to use, especially as a platform to go over large distances. The Yo-Yo and Slinky offered a lot of fun options to solving different puzzles throughout the world. And then there was the Bubble Blower, an item that offers some great use, especially when you figure out the timing to be able to create unlimited platforms. Each of the bosses before reaching each of the flames were also a lot of fun. The Wolf Challenge was also a great change compared to the other bosses, instead of trying to fight something, having to instead run away from it to be able to get rid of it. While I haven't finished everything in the game, looking around for the eggs was always a good time, and even allowed for great unlockables, such as unlocking the fast travel system. I am interested to later see what finding all the eggs will unlock, because there are still 2 other doors in the egg room that I still need to unlock. Even with that, it definitely feels there are plenty of other mysteries to find in this world, and I can't wait to come back and find the rest. I really enjoyed Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order when it came out back in 2019. Cal Kestis was a great new character for the franchise, and bringing in Souls-like combat with Uncharted-like adventure and puzzles into the franchise helped create a fun and grand journey for Cal and his friends. I was very excited for Star Wars Jedi Survivor when it was announced. Unfortunately, due to other games coming out when it did, as well as plenty of performance issues when the game launched, I decided to wait before getting it. Thankfully, a majority of the issues seems to have been fixed, and I finally got a good time to play through the game. After a bit of a time skip, we start off with Cal separated from Seer, Grease, and Marin, all on their own journeys trying to keep the galaxy safe from the Empire, with Cal focusing on attacking them directly. Thankfully, it doesn't take long for a new threat and prize that convinces Cal to bring the group back together, and his new pal Bode to stop new enemy Dagan Gera and find a safe location from the Empire. I think the story is just as strong as the original game, and includes a villain that I enjoyed facing off against more than the Inquisitors from the first game. The combat has also received a nice improvement with the introduction of stances, each having their own advantages and disadvantages that allow for great player customization. It's been interesting coming back to the game after finally playing through my first Dark Souls game. I do enjoy the faster combat that this has, but attacks don't have the same feeling to them as the weapons do in Dark Souls. Cal and BB-8 also get a lot of new abilities that make combat and exploration very enjoyable. The new areas that are added are also a lot of fun to explore. It seems they added a lot more open areas to explore compared to the more cramped linear structure of the areas from the first game. There are still some places like that, especially the Imperial facilities, but I would say they are the weakest areas to explore in the game. Thankfully, it still has the enjoyment of finding shortcuts that make exploring the different planets even more fun. I would easily say my favorite moment in this game was probably the drill sequence on Jeddah. Really, a great combination of all the good aspects of the game. On a side note, recently just rewatched Rogue One. How did I not realize this was the same planet from the beginning of that movie? The boss fights featured in this are also a lot of fun. Each of the fights against Ravis, Dagan, and the fights against Vader and Bode are all very enjoyable. The ending of this game makes me very interested to see what will be happening in the eventual follow-up to this, and hope that it ends up as good as the past two have been. Now, I did play a few more games than these this year, but this year I also played along through Good Vibes Games NSO Game Club, and this has let me play a bunch of different retro games from all-time classics, hidden gems, and all the bad in between. Soon, I'll be releasing another video going over the 46 games I've played so far with this service, and giving a few words on them. Alright, with that quick intermission done, back to the main games I played this year. I've been trying to play through Metroid Prime for a while now. When it was added to the Wii U eShop, I'd gotten it and played it for a bit, but kept getting stuck due to forgetting where I was and not playing for a bit afterwards. Then we finally got the announcement of Metroid Prime Remastered, but unfortunately, just like with Jedi Survivor, it was another game that I was hoping to get to last year, but was unable to due to other releases that were coming out. Thankfully, now that we finally got the announcement of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I think now is the time to finally play through it. It's still crazy how well this game came out. With so many franchises not having great transitions to 3D, Retro Studios was able to masterfully convert the 2D Metroidvania style into an amazing 3D first-person shooter. The graphics in this remaster are also really good. Probably one of the best visually looking games on the Switch. Each of the areas have a lot of great life and atmosphere to them, and were a lot of fun to explore, as well as having plenty of secrets. The music in each of the areas was also able to help give the atmosphere its great tone. My main complaints for this game have been with the minimap. I just wish it showed a little bit more of the area so I don't have to constantly pause the game to bring up the map to figure out where I am. Hopefully we will be getting remasters of the other two games before 4 comes out. If not, I guess I'll just have to play them through other methods. And by that I mean my Wii U, of course. I am definitely not going to be playing them through any other method. Definitely not. Paper Mario and the Thousand-Year Door, the game that's considered to be the best in the series and the one that everyone compares to with its future games. I've been constantly hearing from other creators that this is one of the greatest games of all time. Thankfully, this remaster has finally been created and given me the chance to finally try it out. This game was a great time to play through. Just like with Mario RPG, I really enjoyed the characters and story of this game. The partners in this game are a great addition to this one, unlike with Mario RPG where there are only 2 new characters and the rest of the party being Mario, Peach, and Bowser. All the additional party members in this game are all unique characters. Each one of them gets a solid chapter where they get to show off what they can do through their unique battle mechanics, as well as their outside battle abilities, such as Yoshi's faster run or Coop's being able to reach items that are far away. They also get to make different comments about the situation going on in the story, depending on which party member is currently active, instead of just being forgotten in the background. I can see why people are disappointed with the current games only using standard Mario enemies now, because it is a lot of fun exploring around the world, seeing all the new characters and unique designs for species that we're used to see in the franchise, such as Mobster Piantas. The story was a very good improvement from the original Mario RPG. While much longer, getting to see the villains throughout the game and seeing what they were playing in the background was a good change. It helped to show what presence they had. Each of the chapters were a lot of fun to go through, with new locations and challenges to conquer at every corner. From starting with facing off against a dragon, then going against a wrestler or a pirate Captain Ghost. But sometimes the chapters would surprise you, such as after defeating the boss then realizing you're only halfway through the chapter. Each of the chapters also include a nice mid-chapter break to see what Peach is doing with her interactions with tech, and it's always fun to play as Bowser for a bit, recreating the traditional 2D Mario style, which were both fun to enjoy. With the combat, it feels like a great evolution from Mario RPG, with action commands returning, but the new badge system allows for plenty of player customization for how they want to make their build. It definitely looks like there are some great combinations that can break the game, which is always fun to see in RPGs. Thankfully, like with the original Mario RPG, there was never a moment that made me have to grind. Just playing through the game and fighting what was in front of me was enough to keep me and my party up to bat against the rest of the enemies. I can't think of too many things I didn't enjoy about this game. Thankfully, it being 30 FPS is not much of an annoyance to me. This was just a very good remake of an all-time classic, and I'm very happy that more people will be able to play through this game now. Hopefully the future of Paper Mario will be able to learn from this game, instead of going back to how it's been in the previous games. As long as we don't have another sticker star, I think we're good. The Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi series has always been some of my favorite childhood games. Heck, I even still have all my copies of them. While I do still enjoy some of the modern Dragon Ball games that have come out, such as Xenoverse 2 and Fighters, none of them have the same feeling that the Budokai Tenkaichi games had, and it felt like nothing ever would. I was so excited when that teaser was revealed, but there was always a bit of worry, with Spike Chunsoft's previous games not being that great, and the biggest worry, how many franchises have been able to return after such a long gap, 17 years in this case, and been able to live up to the expectations. And somehow they did it. Sparking Zero feels exactly how a future Tenkaichi game should feel like. The combat and anime-accurate character balancing is still all here. I still love that so many of the combos from the previous games are still usable, and getting to hear so many iconic lines again, such as
"The Saiyans are a true warrior race! Don't underestimate us!"
or hearing Goku's iconic,
"You go!"
It brought me back to the good old days, but now with some absolutely breathtaking animation. I still love how fighters look, and it having a fixed camera does give it some advantage that Sparking Zero doesn't. But Dragon Ball for me has never looked better in a video game. All the fun animations each of the characters have, their supers and ultimates, the hair physics, it's all so good. Being able to easily play a Budokai Tenkaichi game online has also been great, although, as expected, you can see plenty of players just using the broken characters, and I wouldn't have expected anything less. The main dislike I have for the game has been with the story mode. While the new episode battles was an interesting change where we focused on specific characters, some of the stories feel a bit incomplete. Such as, why does Vegeta not get to go to the Tournament of Power? Why does Gohan not get to fight against the Ginyu Force or Frieza? Why does Trunks not get to fight Mecha Frieza and King Cold? Where's the Universe 7 vs 6 tournament? And a big one, why did they choose characters that are only in a single arc? The main story cutscenes also feel fairly lifeless from the rest of the game's animation, but this is probably because, and I think this is speculation, don't think there was a confirmation, but it feels like they're using the same software to the custom battle tools that the rest of us can use. Thankfully, there is still a major standout of this game's version of the story mode, the what ifs. These are all great additions to the game, and all of them allow for some great changes to the story as well as giving us some very fun battles. Easily the biggest standout is Gohan Black. I would honestly say I prefer this version of the Goku Black arc over what was in the anime and manga. I hope this game is able to enjoy a long life. Maybe it could be like Xenoverse 2 and get never-ending DLC. I mean, seriously, it's still getting DLC. And we still have OG Dragon Ball characters still missing, and a few other characters that were in BT3 and weren't able to make it. And hey, maybe we could finally get some super manga characters like Moro or Granola? Plus, with the inclusion of custom battles and mods, the community will be able to keep this game going for a while. I'm so happy this game was able to come out as it has, in one of the biggest years for the franchise, with its 40th anniversary, a brand new series, and the very unfortunate passing of Akira Toriyama earlier this year. This game has been able to remind me of so many reasons why I still love this franchise. I'm so happy that this game was able to live up to all my hopes and dreams about it. Sonic Generations was already one of my favorite Sonic games, and one of my favorite games of all time, with its combination of great classic and modern stages. So, when rumors started coming out about a remaster for it, I was a bit disappointed, because I was hoping for a remaster of a game that wasn't already playable on PC, such as Unleashed or Heroes. The recent Sonic Colors remaster was also a bit worrying on how well this would turn out. Then, we finally got the reveal and a great surprise of Shadow content coming to the game. The big question was, is this going to be 3 levels like his chapter in Sonic Forces, or would it be like Bowser Fury, a completely different side game that builds off of new techniques from recent games and creates a fun new experience? Thankfully, it was the latter. Just like with the original Sonic Generations, Shadow Generations has easily become one of my favorite Sonic games. Getting to play through classic levels that Shadow has been through, and also for some reason Chaos Island, was a wonderful time. But I really question, why was there no level from Shadow's own game? It just feels a bit weird. Just like in Sonic Generations, I'd say the newest levels in this game, for this Chaos Island and Planet Wisp in the original, are the weakest stage in each of their respective games. One nice improvement from Sonic Generations is that instead of modern Sonic stages being a mix of 2D and 3D, we now get acts that are completely 3D or 2D, which is a very nice change. Shadow also gets a lot of fun new abilities that the levels are able to incorporate in fun ways. I still need to figure out how to properly use the Morph power-up in the Chaos Island stage, though. The new White Zone was able to build off of Sonic Frontier's more open zones, and becomes a lot of fun once it fully opens up, and completing all the side activities around it was a lot of fun. We also get to see a lot of fun interactions between Shadow and a few other characters, including Maria, Gerald, and Omega. And for some reason, Big the Cat? Thankfully, it seems they've also fixed the pop-in issue that was very rampant in Sonic Frontiers, but that was likely due to the area being much smaller compared to Frontier zones. The bosses that are featured in the game were also very good selections, and each of them also gets some fun dialogue. I really enjoy a lot of the dialogue in Mephiles' boss fight.
No! To exist!
There is no future for you. Ever.
The final boss here is also so much better than the Time Eater, and actually includes multiple phases that are all very fun. And it's always great getting to hear a good Crush 40 song during a final boss. The story also continues to improve, following Frontiers and writing the characters closer to how they had been before Colors. Getting to see Shadow interact with Maria again was also great to see him finally get over her loss. I also have to mention Shadow Dark Beginnings, the absolutely amazing animated prologue that was released for the game, that got to show off to more of Shadow and Maria with some absolutely beautiful animation. 100% recommend watching this if you haven't. Shadow Generations has felt like a great perfection of the boost formula, and I really hope we get to see new stages built off of what was perfected here. I'd already say this is one of my favorite games of the year, and I haven't even brought up that it includes one of my other favorite Sonic games, Sonic Generations. Well, it hasn't changed too much, especially since I already had the PC version and already got to play it at good frame rates and resolutions. It's great that this game is now available on modern consoles. The main noticeable changes I've seen is the inclusion of the drop dash, which it's interesting that they just keep adding that to more games. And the other main change would be the new dialogue, which I couldn't really tell what lines were old and what lines were new, so it didn't really bother me too much. This game is definitely my favorite game released in 2024, even without considering Sonic Generations as a part of it.
I am Shadow the Hedgehog. This is the destiny I choose.
Wait, this isn't a ranking of games that came out this year. This is a ranking of favorite games I played this year. So, what the heck did I play that beat one of my new favorite Sonic games?
Ocean floor, oh yeah.
When I first saw the surprise announcement of Hi-Fi Rush and its following Shadow Drop, I was very interested to try the game out, especially after all the great reviews the game was getting. Thankfully, I was finally able to do that this year. This game from the start was a wonderful experience. Chai's such a fun character, and I love how he's able to go with the flow with a lot of things. Then we slowly get introduced to the rest of the cast as the story goes on, with Peppermint being a great counterpart to Chai's style, Macaron and Cinnamon being a fun duo that provide some helpful knowledge, then finally getting Corsica to join through a great boss fight. And none of them would be able to do what they can without the greatest companion, 808. Being able to summon your party members and be a helpful way to keep track of the beat of the music. All of them together are just a fun, lovable group that work off each other very well. The story really gets to show off some great moments with each of them, and every time you see the villains throughout the game, it just makes you want to beat them and be able to save Chai and everyone else from their upcoming loss of free will. The combat is absolutely stellar. Never thought a rhythm action game would be able to work so well. It felt just as fun as other character action games that I've played through, such as Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, although a little bit slower compared to those. I really enjoy all the combo attacks you can do with the rest of the party. All of them are fun to use and give a nice break from everything else that's going on. Even when you're unable to match your attacks to the beat, you're still able to have a lot of fun focusing on the combat and getting to listen to some great music. And the music, so good! All the level themes feature great dynamic tracks that are able to seamlessly change between exploration and battle themes. The boss fights are also a great standout with some great personalities and unique moments for each of them, from Corsica's completely dodge-focused fight to Mimosa's including a rhythm game. Each of the fights also get to include some great music that are easily the standout songs of the game. And it was also a great inclusion for a streamer mode, which lets the game have 2 great songs to fight against each of the bosses with. I do prefer the original soundtrack over the licensed songs, but the songs they chose are all great. I've even been able to try out some of the other modes that got introduced, such as the Rhythm Tower, as well as hunting for all the remnants of Spectra by going through all the levels again, and been having a great time with both of them. This has easily become my favorite game of the year, and I can't wait to see what Tango Gameworks will be making next. So yeah, this game and its studio have had a bit of a crazy year. I still remember listening to the soundtrack at work, then hearing the news, and then a few hours later seeing the game be included in that month's Humble Choice. It was kinda crazy that Microsoft would make the decision to close the studio, and then the next day say they wanted more of what they just made, smaller games that win awards. Thankfully, things have come around for Tango, with the studio and IP being purchased by Krafton, with most of the staff returning as well. They're apparently already working on the sequel, which I am very excited to see when that comes. But I also hope that they aren't just forced to make Hi-Fi Rush games forever. Part of the great surprise of this game was that it was completely different from everything else that Tango had made, and I hope they continue to keep making surprises like this.
It may not be what you expected, everything that you wanted, but we did our best, and here it is, a piece of our heart, the hard work from all of us. So please don't complain and just enjoy, because at the end of the day it's all just a game, one we spent thousands and thousands of hours arguing, building and polishing. But hey, no sweat.
It was really hard making this year's list. All of these games were so good, and I can't wait for what will be coming in the future. Dark Souls 3 will be one of the first big games I'll be playing, and then we have Xenoblade Chronicles X coming in March, as well as more updates for Hades 2 in the future. Hopefully I'll be able to check out Final Fantasy 16 soon, but that will depend if Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth comes to PC soon. Also got Spider-Man 2 coming to PC as well. Still need to finish the first game's DLC and Miles Morales. The big thing that I'm waiting for, and definitely plenty of others are, is the Switch 2. But besides that, I hope I can improve this channel in the future. I do wonder if I should make a separate channel for my game recordings and have this one focus on animations and edited gameplay videos. I do hope to make some more animations this year as well. Wish I was able to make one more Shadow video when Sonic X Shadow came out, but hey, now I have a new model of Black Doom that I can use. But thank you all for watching and hope you enjoy what will be coming in the future, and stay tuned for the Nintendo Switch Online ranking.